Happy Halloween!
So, for as long as I can remember, I have really enjoyed Halloween. I don't really know why I liked it originally. I guess it was just fun to dress up, even though I was always a vampire, of course. But I do remember that my favorite part of Halloween would be if one of the neighbors put up a haunted house. I was terrified of them because I was like 9 years old at the time, but I also really loved them. Unfortunately, there came a time when I couldn't really find very many home haunts anymore. We assumed that the other families just stopped doing them when the kids left the house. And, well, I figured my own graduation's pretty far away, so maybe I could do a haunted house. Maybe I could fill the void. So, in the days leading up to Halloween, my mom and I cleared up some of the garage and put up a few decorations that we had. The original idea was to create walls out of tablecloth, but that plan quickly fell through when we found out that one sheet didn't actually reach the ground. At the time, it seemed too expensive to double up every sheet throughout the entire haunt, and we also ran out of time, so we couldn't do it in if we wanted to. But nonetheless, we created something, and we let some of the trick-or-treaters go through, and I thought it would look pretty cool.
Feel successful in life when you walk through a haunted house.
And get some candy.
But at one point, I was standing by the side door, and a teenager I'd never seen before and never saw again said that my haunt was lame.
That was lame.
I couldn't let that stand. So I decided the next year was gonna need to be so much better. And that would mean walls. Because deep down, I kind of believed what that teenager said. I mean, I was trying to run a haunt without walls. It was just a room, a museum.
It's more like a Halloween exhibit. You will not be scared.
So, invigorated, I planned ahead and worked for enough money to cloth many a table. But after that work, my haunted house was a proper haunt because it had a path to follow. And it kind of just continued that way for a couple of years. But in those years, something kind of started to bother me. And that teenager was coming back and echoing in my brain again. You see, the guests had to enter and exit through the same door, the side door of the garage, and that meant that we had to wait for one group to get all the way through the haunt before sending in the next group. And that's not all. I actually had a list of grievances. The tablecloth was a pain and unreliable to tape to the ceiling. The theme was too cute and uncoordinated. I didn't have anywhere to mount the lighting because the walls were all too weak, and there were no spaces to hide the actors, and I was kind of starting to enjoy the smell of plastic tablecloth. Actually, I didn't really mind that last one. But something needed to change. My first instinct was wood walls, just like the professional haunts. But wood's too expensive, despite being strong and beautiful. I need to find something cheaper.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're doing something a little different today. Alright guys, this is everything I just bought at Lowe's, and I think it's cool. I spent about $179. I bought 30 half-inch 10-foot PVC piping, PVC 40, which is like, I don't know, it's the only one they had. It's like the cheapest one, I think.
What if I made the haunt out of PVC? Then the tablecloth could have a strong support system that would prop up the tablecloth because of how strong it was and sturdy and strong. That was also the year that I convinced my mom to let the haunt start through the front door, and that allowed for one-way traffic through the entire experience. This year was also special because it marked the beginning of my YouTube channel.
Oh.
Humble beginnings, but it helped me document all the innovations that I made from here on out, and to show all the teenagers how cool my haunt was. And my haunt was cool because it had it all. It was sturdy and strong and sturdy walls and one-way traffic, and I made the theme more consistent and overarching with a dungeon aesthetic. I even made a tunnel out of pallets. Everything was perfect. Yeah, the PVC walls came apart after a teenager tried to make her own path. I actually had to run back through the haunt so I could tell my mom to stop sending people in, and my English teacher was right there. She was really excited to see the haunt that I made. We put it back together, and then it just fell down again later that night. It was actually terrifying, honestly, because I'd have to tell strangers that they had to duck under these fallen poles because the hallway had collapsed. I can only imagine they thought it was super lame. At this point, I had been using tablecloth for about 4 years, and it was what I knew. But after that Halloween, I knew that it was not going to be sustainable for future crowds. I knew it had to be done, but I also knew that it would be a lot of work. And I definitely did not comprehend how much it was going to cost.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to be making 3 wall panels, and one of them is going to be like a little scare hole, and then the other one's going to be a drop panel. So we already have the wood pre-cut, and we kind of have one panel laid out on the floor right now, so we're going to screw it together, and then I think it's pretty strong for being just a thin board, so I think it's gonna work.
Finally, I was like a pro haunt. I could paint the walls, I could mount lights to the walls, and most importantly, they could handle crazy people. And to celebrate my new revolutionary walls, I also began to experiment with more advanced scaring technology. I started by emphasizing the ending of the haunt with a pre-assembled prop controller. And I also got my own sliding equipment. Oh, sliding is when you wear... So that was cool. From this point, every year I would just try and make the haunt better than it was the year before. Fix all the flaws that I ran into, make the scares more exciting, and I tried to make the theme more coherent and convincing. That attitude is what motivated me to make The Forest the following year. That was actually one of my favorite haunts because of all the tight hallways.
What are you doing in my woods?
I added an air cannon, more actors, a falling shelf, and a very cool looking cabin. Then the next year with the manor, I wanted to make the environment even more persuasive and detailed. Don't worry about all that. So I added wood walls to a section of the house. I also let one of my very talented friends create a gorgeous bathroom while I developed my own prop controllers so that several scares could have lighting and sound effects. Personally, I also really like the Screaming Baby. Finally, the year before I left for college, I made a sewer haunt, which was meant to optimize realism with textured walls. I even added a roof. Yeah, there's actually not too much to say about the last one because I forgot to make pneumatic props, and I don't think I'm ever gonna forgive myself.
Tell me, what do we want? Fascism! What do we want it? No! That it again! What do we want? No! What do we want it?
While I was making these detailed and complicated haunts, I also began to see a new value in the work that I was doing. I started to look forward to Halloween every year because I knew I was going to be able to spend it scaring people, but I also knew that I was going to be able to spend it with my close friends. One of my favorite parts of the haunt was actually when we wouldn't have very many people show up and I could just goof with my friends in these wild worlds wearing these wild costumes. Then, after the haunt was done and everyone was exhausted, my mom could talk about all the things that the community said. And I really liked that part because that's how I knew that I was filling the void that I saw. Who knows, maybe I even inspired some other 9-year-old to make a little spooky museum in his garage. Probably not. You know, it's kind of funny. Actually, when I came to college, the haunt was one of the biggest things on my mind because right now I'm looking back at 9 wonderful years of haunt production, 9 years of giving that haunt to the community, but now I'm just another kid who got too old and went to college. Funny how it works out like that. But with any luck, this will just be a chance for everyone to catch their breath.